Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Ronda Rousey to defeat Holly Holm. It's going to be early and it's going to be an armbar. Guaranteed. All right. I'm here to talk about Charlie Radtke versus Gilbert Urbina. And I'm going to give my prediction at the top of the video, seeing as you've got a gun pointed to my head right now. And my prediction is Gilbert Urbina winning. I'm more confident in him winning flat than giving an outcome. But again, you've got the gun, so I'll give you the outcome. I'll go with him winning by decision. I think of all of his paths to victory, that's the most likely. But even if you come down on the Charlie Radtke side of things, you should check out this video because I'm going to throw all my little details and horseshit at you. And you might even further solidify your confidence in Charlie Radtke by the time I'm done because there's definitely some ways for him to win. Charlie Radtke, he's 8-3 as a pro, 33 years old, and he's given up 4 inches of height and 3 inches of reach to 27-year-old Urbina, who is 7-2 as a pro. Charlie Radtke, or Charles Radtke, whatever, he's got good fundamental striking. He's definitely going to be the slower man in this fight, in addition to the smaller man. But Urbina, I expect him to be moving around a lot more compared to Radtke, and Radtke, his striking will come down to his timing, and specifically his left hook. His left hook is his best punch by far. It's responsible for most, if not all, of his TKO / knockout finishes. And I should emphasize knockout because he's knocked out a good amount of these guys. And it's also what I would suspect to be Gilbert Urbina's biggest liability on the feet. Again, I'll get to his fight with Tresean Gore in a few minutes. But Charlie Radtke, he's slower but fundamental, and with fundamentals comes fundamental defense. He does protect himself. You know, it's much easier to protect your chin when you're not flying around, coming in with like Gilbert Urbina and throwing these long attacks. But Radtke is definitely going to be the slower man on the feet. I think if he does win, even if he does win by knockout, it'll be him being behind on points. The volume is not going to work in his favor, not going to go in his favor in this fight, unless his timing is really fucking good. But I expect Gilbert Urbina to largely be up on stats, but Charlie Radtke having that kill shot potentially. Again, he hasn't knocked out guys at the UFC level, but it's certainly a great punch of his. I've seen him knock out the guy Brandon Lopez. That was a beautiful one. Guy Crump, I think that guy was coming in. It was a check left hook. It's always the left hook, even in a combination. As far as his vulnerabilities go, he's got 3 losses, 1 via TKO, 2 via decision. He was knocked out with a body shot by Justin Montalvo, who trains over here in Long Island and at Serra-Longo. And that was a fight that he was dominating. He had the guy down, was working his grappling, and he's got good grappling, worked every choke in the book, but wasn't able to put him away. And in round 2, got hit with a body shot deep into the round, and that was it. He crumbled. And that's a tough loss, but that's the only time he's been TKO'd. You know, I don't think I don't know if it gets worse over time like the chin with more knockouts, but right now it's the only time I've seen him finish. He looked like he was kind of rocked against this guy, Raheem Forrest, but he won the fight anyway. Steamrolled him anyway with a submission. His other 2 losses are by decision. They're to really good fighters. Austin Hubbard beat him in one of the shittiest fights I've ever seen, a sparring match. But Austin Hubbard is now back in the UFC for his second stint. So no shame in losing to that guy in the regional scene. And it was a close fight, by the way, despite being very shitty, very close. Really could have gone either way. And then he lost to Christopher Gonzalez in Bellator. That was grappling. Christopher Gonzalez, or wrestling, really, slammed him around, took his back, had control for, I think, all round 2. Had a great fight until round 3, where Charlie Radtke was doing a better job keeping it standing, doing better on the feet, and in the end, he was taken down once or twice, but he finished the fight with a triangle choke and kind of ran out of time. So he won the round, but lost the war, lost the decision. And then there was a fight against this guy, Jonathan Piersma. That guy's a pure jiu-jitsu guy, and it was a close fight. He, didn't get tapped or whatever, but he had trouble dealing with the guy's jiu-jitsu in the first 2 rounds. But overall, he got the nod, and he was the last man standing. Plus, he'd be the better fighter moving forward anyway. So It is what it is. It worked out well. I have to mention this as an amateur. I saw him TKO this guy on Fight Pass, Sean Sullivan, I think his name is, or something like that. It's suppressed. They suppressed this information. They changed his name to Brad Radtke or Brian Radtke, but it's definitely him. And he kept pounding the guy after the ref stopped it, and it was a real scumbag move. And then again, you can tell it's him, but they changed the information at some point in the record keeping process. So whatever. But I definitely marked him as a scumbag, potential scumbag, I should say. And I did that, before the epic tirade at UFC Australia, which, that was a wild night. But here he's fighting Gilbert Urbina, who came up on the Ultimate Fighter to get into the UFC season, whatever the fuck. He was actually in the finale against Brian Battle, where he lost in the finale, despite losing also in the semifinals against Tresean Gore, which Tresean Gore, I think, got COVID or something or whatever happened, and Gilbert Urbina stepped in as the other semifinalist. But he has a 7-2 pro record. He's got 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, 3 decisions. On the feet, like I was hinting at, he's much more wild and exotic than Charlie Radtke. Really good kicks at range, the oblique kicks, teep kicks, which teep kicks right to the body could be the kill shot just as easily as the left hook. But he is much more of a rangy attacker, although inside he can brawl as well. He's got good hands, just he's got better advantages on the outside, typically. And of course, here he will have the speed advantage on his side. But on the feet, he's shown that vulnerability I was hinting at. Against Tresean Gore, he was knocked out with a check left hook, and he was hit with that same left hook a bunch of times in that fight, visibly rocked by it, and he kept walking into it, which, whatever, I can't fault him too much. I guess he doesn't have adaptability, but hopefully his team does, and he's able to protect himself with his rangy attacks. Can't come in with your hands down, and it's tough to keep your hands glued to your chin. But the left hook was there for Tresean Gore all night, and it ended up putting Gilbert Urbina away. He did lose that Brian Battle Ultimate Fighter fight. That was a rear naked choke in round 2. It was a fight that he was winning, was roughing Brian Battle up right from the get-go, came out on fire, and pressuring him, ripped him to the mat right away. And then in round 2, he went for a spinning back fist, and Brian Battle ducked under it, took his back, and choked him out shortly thereafter. So that was definitely a loss due to his wild nature, and he's got to nip that shit in the bud, or take some calculated chances anyway. And I should mention here that he has one loss via decision, Gilbert Urbina, and it is to Sean Brady. Sean Brady, who dominated him with wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and Gilbert Urbina did survive, and he looked like he had some good energy down the stretch, but he was totally thoroughly out-grappled by Sean Brady. And unlike a lot of the guys Sean Brady's beaten in the UFC, he didn't get submitted. So not a bad loss at all in the regional scene. But he is wild, and he is more rangy. I think in a kickboxing bout with Charlie Radtke, if you told me neither guy got finished, I would take Gilbert Urbina to win, because I think he can make more of his physical tools, the height and the reach, and he's got some good outside striking. And as far as the grappling goes in this match, the reason I'm siding with Gilbert Urbina ultimately is because I trust him to have the wrestling advantage here. Gilbert Urbina is a good wrestler, I think anyway, based on what I read and how I've seen him fight. And I think he should have the wrestling advantage here against Charlie Radtke. I think Gilbert Urbina can, if he's on the ground, I don't know if he can tap Charlie Radtke. Charlie Radtke again survived with a Gonzalez on top of him, and he looks to be pretty sound. But I bet Gilbert Urbina can hold on to him positionally, take his back, and at the very least control him, if not go through him and get a finish. And on the feet, again, either guy could get knocked out, I suppose, the body shot, the left hook. But I'm taking Gilbert Urbina to, in general, score more points. I think if it does go the distance, he's likely to have done more on the feet without any big moments. So Gilbert Urbina is the pick. Hopefully he watches that left hook. And I think I like his money line at minus 185, but I'll wait to see the prop bets for all the other horse shit. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.